The message buzzed on my phone at 4:17 p.m., right when the kettle began to scream like it always did when I forgot it on the stove. "You weren't invited to dinner. My wife doesn't want you there." I stared at the screen until the words blurred, then laughed, a short, dry sound that startled even me. At 72, I'd been ignored, insulted, and forgotten plenty of times, but this was a first, uninvited from my own son's table. "My name's Ned, Grandpa Ned to anyone who ever mattered." I raised my boy with hands that cracked from cold mornings and a back bent by honest work. I taught him how to tie a knot, how to apologize when he was wrong, and how to stand up when someone smaller needed it. I thought I taught him that family wasn't a convenience, you didn't RSVP to it. I poured the boiling water down the drain and made tea again, slower this time. The house was quiet, the kind of quiet that sneaks up on you after your wife's been gone long enough for grief to turn into furniture. Every chair remembers her. Every room expects her voice. The dinner was for my grandson's 8th birthday. I'd already wrapped the gift, an old compass I restored myself, brass polished, until it caught the light. I'd planned to tell him what my father told me, know where you're standing before you decide where to go. I texted back one word, okay. Then I sat there, staring at the wall, feeling something settle in my chest that wasn't sadness exactly. It was resolve. I drove over anyway. I didn't speed, I didn't rehearse speeches. I just went, the way you go to a place that still belongs to you even if someone says it doesn't. The sun was low, turning the sidewalks gold, and for a moment I remembered walking that same street with my son on my shoulders, his laughter knocking against my ears like loose change. Their house smelled like roast chicken when I knocked. Laughter spilled out when the door opened, my grandson's laugh, bright and unburdened. My daughter-in-law Melissa stood there with her hand still on the knob, smile frozen halfway. "I didn't think you'd come," she said. "I didn't think you'd mean it," I replied gently. My son appeared behind her, eyes flicking between us like a referee who'd already lost control of the game. "Dad," he said, voice tight, "we talked about this." "No," I said, "you texted me." There's a difference, he knew it. I saw it in the way his shoulders sagged. "I just came to drop something off," I said, holding up the wrapped box. "For the birthday boy." Melissa crossed her arms. "This isn't a good time." "Birthdays usually aren't," I said. "They remind us we're getting older." My grandson peeked around the corner, eyes lighting up when he saw me. Grandpa Ned. He ran into my legs like a small hurricane, hugging me hard. The room went quiet in that way it does when truth walks in unannounced. I knelt and handed him the gift. "Open it later," I said. "It's better that way." "Can Grandpa stay?" he asked, looking up at his parents. Melissa's mouth tightened. My son opened it, closed it again. "I'll go," I said before they could answer. "I just needed to see him." That's when Melissa said it. "He always undermines us, always has to be the hero." I stood up slowly. "I'm no hero," I said. "Heroes leave," I stayed. The words landed heavier than I intended. My son flinched like he'd been struck. "Dad," he said quietly, "it's complicated." "It always is," I said. "That's why grown-ups handle it instead of hiding behind texts." I turned to leave, heart pounding, when my grandson's voice stopped me. "Grandpa, will you come to my game tomorrow?" I looked at my son, he looked at the floor, then finally he nodded. "Yeah," he said, "he can come." Melissa didn't argue. Sometimes silence is the only apology people know how to give. The next day I sat on cold bleachers with a thermos of coffee and a sunburn creeping up my neck. My grandson waved every time he touched the ball. My son stood beside me, hands shoved into his pockets. "I messed up," he said, not looking at me. "I know," I replied. "I didn't know how to balance things," he continued. "I didn't want to fight." "Peace isn't the absence of conflict," I said. "It's choosing what's worth standing for." He nodded slowly. "I want you around, Dad." "I've always been around," I said. "You just stopped looking." After the game, my grandson ran over, sweaty and grinning. "Did you see me score?" "I saw everything," I said. "That's what grandpas do." That night my phone buzzed again. A message from my son: "Dinner next Sunday, all of us." I smiled, set the phone down, and looked around my quiet house. It wasn't empty anymore, it was patient. Because family, I've learned, isn't about invitations. It's about showing up, steady, imperfect, and brave enough to knock even when the door might not open.